What's going on? Today we're doing iOS forensics from TryHackMe, which is a room for applying digital forensic concepts on iOS devices, namely iPhone. So the scenario in this room is analyzing a file system dump of an iPhone. So basically in the tasks or the previous tasks 1 all the way till task 8 are all about teaching you the concepts of iOS file systems, the trust certificates, the iOS security, how it works, and then we'll apply the knowledge on the scenario here. The scenario is in this task 9 is analyzing an iPhone dump taken from supposedly a criminal's device. So basically, you need to analyze the file system dump of his iPhone to find a lead into the gang. So basically, the first step in analyzing iPhone or mobile devices is taking file system dump, much like when you do take a memory dump of the Linux or Windows, you would do the same to iPhones or mobile devices in general, taking a file system dump. Now, in the previous tasks, the author of this room has discussed how you would take or you would do data acquisition for mobile devices. So you would have 4 types of acquisition: the direct, logical, advanced, and physical acquisition. The author has followed the second approach, logical backup acquisition. So they use iTunes, right? iTunes on an authorized computer or trusted computer to the iPhone in question to take a full backup of the file system. Okay. Now, I encourage you to read through the tasks the author has laid down here to understand more about how iOS file system works. Because in order to just extract data from an iOS device, you would need to know how file system works, where do the data you are looking to extract stored in the iOS file system. So you would need to know the locations of the directories. Now, although the suspect's phone is locked with a passcode, you have been able to use a recent lockdown certificate from the suspect's computer, allowing you to create a logical file system dump from an iPhone backup he made recently. So the concept here of lockdown certificate is well explained in this section. So as you can see, iTunes backups and trust certificates. In a nutshell, if you connect your iPhone to your computer, all right, it's going to ask you, trust this computer, right? So basically, when you do a backup from iTunes, it's going to pop up this. So when you say trust, then the computer will create a certificate on the computer. The iPhone will create a certificate on the iPhone and the computer. The certificate acts as, let me say, an authentication or authorization challenge. So whenever you connect your iPhone to a new computer, right, and the certificate does not exist on that computer, it's going to ask this, trust this computer. That's how iPhone makes sure that if you are to do backup with iTunes, the authorized person is doing the backup. Okay, so that's how they took the backup. They investigated the targets or the criminal computer. They extracted the certificate stored on that computer, and they transferred that certificate into another computer to do the acquisition. So basically, when they connected the iPhone to their computer, the computer didn't ask for the pop-up. It didn't show up the pop-up of trust me or don't trust me, right? Because the certificate has been extracted and it matches the certificate that the iPhone has created previously. And then they used iTunes to create a file system dump of a backup that has been done recently. So these are the two steps made prior to the analysis. First, taking the dump of the file system, and then how to access the iPhone. Okay, now these are the questions we're required to answer, and the questions resemble your understandings of how the forensic process works. So let's jump here to the computer, and as you can see, the folder name is op just in case. This is the folder that contains the iOS dump that has been taken by iTunes or from iTunes. So in the first question, you put yourself in the shoes of an investigator who's trying to answer a couple of questions. Who was the recipient of the SMS message sent on 23rd of August 2020? So the question here is asking or requires us to dig through the SMS messages. So in a file dump or in a file system dump of iPhone, you would go to opt in case var, and then you would locate the location of the database that stores SMS messages. Now, SMS messages, calls, the emails, bookmarks, browsing history are all located and stored in databases, which you can view with SQLite Viewer. So now to locate the SMS database, we would have to go to var mobile library and then go to SMS, and you would see the database here, SMS. So in order to open this database, you would have to use a database viewer like SQLite. iPhone uses SQLite to store their structured data. So we would use SQLite to view the databases of database created by iPhone. So once we open the SQLite viewer, we can click on File, Import Database from SQL file, and then locate the database from the case folder, in case var, then go to Mobile, Library, SMS, all files. Oh, let's go back. Maybe we just, okay, open database. So SMS. So you see here the tables of the database. We have SQLite, the properties, group member, message group pieces, message. So we're interested in seeing the messages or opening the messages. So browse data. Okay. Select table, message. And see here, let's maximize this. This is the date of the message, the text that has been written, and the recipient, as you can see here, the country, if applicable, and you will see also the address, the phone number. All right, what's the question now? Who was the recipient of the SMS message sent on 23rd of August? So we would go to the date on 23rd of August. See, the message is, did you get the goods? And the recipient was Lewis Randall, and this is his address or phone number. So who was the recipient? Recipient was Lewis Randall. So we would copy that. Okay. So next one. Next one is, what did the SMS message say? So we would locate the text column and locate the text or the message that has been sent. Okay, looking at the address book, what is the first name of the other person in the contacts? So here it is asking to inspect the contacts. So much like you want to view the contact of the criminal, so we would go back and here locate the contacts database or SQLite database. So go one directory back, and here let's look for the address book. In the address book, we have address book SQLite, address book images. So we're not interested in viewing the images, we're interested in viewing the contacts. So just what do we do? Drag and drop. Okay. So see here, this is the Um, let's do that. Okay, this is the tables, right? Triggers and indices. So let's go to browse data and AB person. It's selected, refresh, tables, AB group. So it is AB person. Let's see, AB person. So in AB person table, we will see the names of um, the contacts. So basically, let's make this bigger. So let's go through this. First name of the contact, the last name, the middle name, and the organization that is registered in the target's device, which supposedly the contacts works at, department, and the last sort, creation date. Of course, you would need to work on the adjusting the formulas of these of this data in order to make it more readable. So let's see the question here. Looking at the address book, what's the first name of the other person in the contacts? So Louis Randall, we've seen this name in the while inspecting the message database. So the first person of the first name of the other person is Jenny. So copy that. Following on from question 3, what is their listed organization? So in the organization column, we would see the organization that they work at. Transportation. I would assume this is a category, not an organization. Investigate their browsing history. What's the address of the website that they have bookmarked? Okay, let's investigate now the browsing history. So to locate the browsing history database, we will go back one directory, library, and go to where is the Safari? Okay, Safari here. Now that depends on the browser that they use. If it was Safari, then it is Safari. If it was Google Chrome or Firefox, then you would enter the directory of the browser that you suspect that the criminal has been using. So Safari, and you will see the history, search engines, suspend date, and bookmarks. So here we want to open the bookmarks. So browse data, drag and drop, click on bookmarks, see the address. Let's view the bookmarks. So this table lists all of the bookmarks that the target has created while browsing the internet. As you can see, we have the title, the URL, and the date. There is no date. Wait, okay, so the URL is blogsemantic.co.uk. The suspect received an email. What is the remote ID of the sender? So now we will shift the focus to the email database. So we want to inspect the emails sent and received by and from the criminal or the subject. So we would want to locate the emails database. So let's now go back one directory and locate the mail folder, and we would see the envelope index. So we would use this one, drag and drop this. So now we have the database of the email messages or the mail application. So we're interested in viewing the messages. So we would go to browse data and select messages. So we have one message, and we have all of the artifacts, the properties of the message. We have the remote ID, and we have the date sent, received, mailbox, content type, text, HTML. And the question is, received an email, what is the remote ID? So he's saying that the criminal or the suspect has received an email, as you can see on this date, right? And the remote ID was this IP address. This is the remote ID of the sender. Okay, what's the name of the company on one of the images stored on the suspect's phone? Now, when it comes to images, images are stored yeah, I mean in a directory that does not involve the use of databases. So we would go back to opt-in case. We would look for a folder called DCIM, mobile media, DCIM. So we have two images here. High clip part. What's the name of the company on one of the images? So you need to open TryHackMe. TryHackMe. That's correct. What is the value of the cookie that was left behind? So here we're required to inspect the cookies. So we would go back to mobile and the library. So everything that could be related to cookies, browsing, emails, databases in the library, we'd find it in the library. So go to library, and then we would locate the cookies directory, which is here. So we have two files, one that is SQLite database and one that is plist. Now plist is a file extension in iOS that is used to display properties of applications. So since a cookie is a property, we would most likely find the value of the cookie in this file. So if you open this file with a text editor like Sublime or Notepad, so this is a property file, and as you can see, the plist extension of the iOS file system is written using XML, which corroborates and corroborates that these kind of files are for displaying the properties. So let's see here, name, value. This is the value we're looking for actually. Domain, TryHackMe, path. There is no path. Expires. So this is the cookie, right, of the TryHackMe website listed or stored in the iPhone directory that we're at. So let's take this and answer that. Now let's look at the bonus. In the bonus section here, there are other aspects that have been analyzed. As you can see, we have analyzed the address book, the cookies, Safari, SMS, and there is voicemail. Okay, as you can see here, this is here's a screenshot of analyzing the metrics, or how many times the suspect has opened the Skype and closed it. What are the Wi-Fi networks they have connected to? Let's see if we can see these information right from this image. Although that's not required, but if you want to advance your knowledge, you would want to practice and try to locate these data. So let's see here. If you go back to library, so you see logs, notes, preferences, calendar. Because of view items on the calendar, items on the calendar are very beneficial if you want to draw a picture or paint an image about the day-to-day life activities of the suspect. So we want to take a look at the calendar, although I know not so many people use the calendar on their phone, but a good deal of people use the calendar, so we would want to inspect this. So we go to the structure, drag this. So you go to browse data and select what you want to see. Alarm, there's nothing in here. Let's go to calendar. So what do we have here? Birthdays. Since I got nothing in here, let's go see something else. Event. Okay. Event changes. tasks, participants, store. Not interested in that. So it seems like attended changes. Seems like the calendar was not used heavily by the target, although here, yeah. So let's see something else. Voicemail. Okay. Preferences, SMS, Springboard, Spotlight, cookies, calendar, cache. If you go to preferences, system configuration, we'd have a list of plist files and back files. So there is a Wi-Fi, as you can see here, Wi-Fi plist. If we click on view with Sublime, it is in hex, so we need the hex editor to open this. Let's open with hex editor. Or we have it here. Let's open the hex editor and view the file from inside or import it. File, open. So it locates the file on the desktop. Preferences, system configuration. Let's see here. So this is the hex data, and on the right we would see ASCII text. Network set strings, fallback references, enable. All right, let's go back down. There is something useful we can take. Redacted. Library logs, Wi-Fi log. So see here in the logs, there is something we might be interested in inspecting. Okay, let's go to now logs, mobile, library, logs. What do we have here? Crash reporter. Oh, it's the battery log. And still we cannot locate the Wi-Fi hotspots that the target has connected to. Let me take a look again at the bonus section. For the purpose of this room, we are analyzing an edited logical file system dump. From an actual iPhone 6, I have imaged using Cellebrite's UFI toolkit, whilst the artifacts of what you have been analyzing in op just in case are true in their origin, I have removed about 95% of the actual contents that is imaged for my security privacy, leaving in place the locations that this data would be placed within if it were to exist. So most probably the database or the information we are trying to locate have been removed by the author for their security and privacy, and we respect that. That's why they've created a separate task here, bonus, so that you can read through this task and view how you can view these bonus information if you are to analyze another iPhone. Okay then. So that was about today. See you in the next video.